President Trump taking the health care defeat in stride, vowing to continue pursuing policies that will help the American people.
So what's going through the president's head this morning after a whirlwind Friday, and what will his next move be? His former campaign manager, Lewandowski, joins us now. Corey, good to see you this morning. Interesting piece in the Wall Street Journal this morning about how the president can govern going forward. It says he doesn't have a coalition right now. He needs to build a coalition in order to get things done moving forward, tax reform and anything else he wants to do. Do you agree with that?
Well, of course the president needs a coalition. He needs to work with his friends and colleagues in Washington to make sure that he is moving the legislation that he's promised on the campaign trail. But you have to remember something. The president did not come to Washington as someone who is a creature of Washington, and he's changing Washington, D.C. from the inside now, which is something that people don't understand. And what the president said about the health care legislation was he could have written the absolute perfect bill, and not one Democrat was going to support that bill. And what we know is that it took Barack Obama until March of 2010 to get Obamacare through Congress. It's now 7 years, just after 7 years, that bill has been in place. This president is someone who wants to get things done. In the first 60 days, he's already tried to get a repeal and replace done. Look, it's going to happen. He's made a pledge on the campaign trail. He's going to hold that pledge. We've seen that the pledge that he has made on the campaign trail are coming to fruition in Washington, D.C. Now, does that mean there's more work to do? Of course there is. But he has pledged to do it, and it will get done.
Corey, so you know President Trump better than many, many people. We saw sort of a more calmed version of him yesterday. He didn't send out any angry tweets in his message that we've played this morning. Obviously, he was upset about this bill, but then he even talked about reaching across the aisle. When the Democrats are willing to come to me, I want to negotiate. I want to get this bill done. I want to get it right, saying that he wants to work with them, work with Democrats. Help us understand what's going on inside his mind this morning as he's trying to figure out how to move forward, how to get this right.
Well, the president always said he wants to make sure that the American people have health care. And what he said on the campaign trail and continues to say is we're not going to throw people out, and we're not going to have people who have pre-existing conditions who can't get coverage. That's not going to happen, which means Democrats should be supporting those ideals. It means if you're under 26 years old and want to stay in your parents' health care, you should be able to do that. That's not a Republican idea. That's not a Democrat idea. That's an American idea.
But that means he's also never going to get members of the Freedom Caucus on board. If that's where his head is, he has to know he's not going to get those members.
I don't agree with that. Look, I don't agree with that. If the members of the Freedom Caucus, and many of them are friends of mine, want to throw people off because they've got pre-existing conditions, then shame on them. You have to take care of the American people. If people who are under 26 years old need to stay on their parents' health care, then they should be able to do that. That's not a Republican or Democrat idea. That's an idea for the American people. There are 10 U.S. senators up for re-election that are Democrats in states that Donald Trump won in the last election cycle. You know what that means? They're going to negotiate with the president. They're going to come because they want to get reelected, but they also want to take care of the American people. There's nothing wrong with taking care of people.
Sure.
That's what the president said. That's what we have to do.
Corey, it's really hard to work with folks who say they want to resist you, want to impeach you, and won't come on board for really anything. So it's hard to imagine Democratic support here. But could Speaker Ryan have not delivered better for his caucus? Ultimately, it was Republican votes that fell short. It was believed he could deliver them, and he did not. Now, the president didn't name him by name in the Oval Office, but is there frustration with the inability of the Speaker to deliver this?
Well, I don't want to just blame Speaker Ryan, candidly. I think the entire House leadership and the Senate leadership were not on the same page when this bill was rolled out. I think, what we saw was that the House members were saying that if we pass certain components of this bill due to the arcane rules in the Senate wasn't going to be able to do that due to budget reconciliation issues. Look, I think, and I've said this very clearly, I think it was a mistake not being able to put health care where you can purchase it across state lines in their initial bill. What we heard is this is going to be in version 3. I don't know what version 3 is. What I know is people should have the opportunity, the president's campaigned on this, to buy health care across state lines so there's more competition. I think that should have been part of the bill. And I understand, the Senate arcane rules and the Senate parliamentarian would have said that was not relevant. I get all that.
Do you think that would have brought the Freedom Caucus?
The American people.
Do you think that would have brought the Freedom Caucus?
What I think is, I think it would have helped because I think it creates more competition. And I think that you have to get the bill done, but the rollout probably could have been better. And I don't blame any one person in Congress. I don't think that's fair. But I think that everybody should have worked more closely to get this bill done for the American people.
Yeah, well, certainly a wake-up call on how we move forward. A lot more to tackle in the weeks to come. Corey Lewandowski, good to have you here this morning.
Thanks, Corey.